What's up, guys? Welcome to Forensic Friday, where I tell you one true crime case that was solved using forensic science, all while doing, that's right, my makeup. Today's video will be featuring the new Colourpop in a Trance palette. All the other products I'm using in this video will be linked in the description below. If you like true crime, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my future episodes. In December of 1996, Julie Buskin, a 21-year-old student at the University of Oklahoma with a degree in dance, was planning to move back home with her parents. She had finished all of her courses and graduated early that year. By the way, some of you guys asked if I could implement the makeup a little bit more in the video. I guess it just means you guys would like to see me tell you guys more about the product I'm using or my technique. I don't know. It's just really difficult to talk about two different things, and I feel that it may sidetrack the story. So her parents drove out from Alaska to help Julie pack her things and move back home, and this was on the early morning of December 20th, 1996. When Julie's parents arrived to her apartment, she was not there, and neither was her car. Her parents talked to authorities and decided to file a missing persons report. She soon learned that Julie had last been seen dropping her friend off at the airport around 4 a.m. that morning. Julie told her friend that she was going back to the apartment. Now, around 5:30 a.m., someone in Julie's apartment building called the police. The caller reported that he and his wife had heard really loud screams out in the parking lot. They were too afraid to go outside, so they didn't see anything. They said they did hear a male voice saying, shut up, get in the car." Other neighbors reported also hearing a woman scream and a car leaving. Police believed those screams to be that of Julie Buskin, but they had no way of proving that since none of the neighbors actually saw anything. 12 hours after she disappeared, Julie Buskin's body was found in a lake just 15 miles away from her apartment. She was in the water from the waist up, and her hands were tied behind her back. The perpetrator used shoelaces to tie her. She had been shot execution style once in the back of the head. It was a contact wound, meaning the gun was actually against the back of the head when she was shot. There was also signs of sexual assault. Police interviewed everyone at Julie's school to see if they had any useful information that could possibly lead to the killer. Police found that Julie had a lot of guy friends, but none of them were boyfriends. Police found Julie's apartment in order. They found her car 1 block away from Julie's apartment building. Police also found red sand in the floor of her car, which appeared to be the same type of sand that was found on the bank near the lake where Julie's body was found. Investigators were puzzled as to why the perpetrator brought the vehicle back to the scene of the abduction instead of getting rid of the car. That makes no sense. There was no blood inside of the car and no signs of struggle. They didn't find any foreign hairs or fibers. Nothing. The only thing investigators found was Julie's cell phone was missing, along with an opal ring that she wore. Police searched Julie's phone records and found that her phone was used after her death. Okay. My eyebrows are distant cousins. Very, very distant. There was a call made to the weather forecast and one to a number no longer in service at that time. Investigators found evidence in the sand at the lake. 2 sets of footprints went down to the lake, but only 1 set of footprints came back up. Police believe those prints belonged to the suspect, but the wind had blown the sand and obscured the footprint pattern. However, crime scene analysts found an identifiable pattern consistent with that of a pair of size 9 men's Nike running shoes. Police sent a photo of the print to Nike. Nike identified it as a Nike Air 2 running shoe. Time to get into the palette. I'm so excited, but back to the story. 20 feet from the body, investigators found a crumpled up leotard with the initials JB in them. It was Julie's. The leotard was sent to the crime lab for DNA testing, and they found some semen fluid on it. The autopsy report revealed Julie was shot with a .22 caliber bullet. Ballistics expert could tell it had been fired from a very distinctive gun. They were able to narrow it down to 6 companies that sold this type of gun with the same combination of lands and grooves. Julie's parents posted a $70,000 reward, but despite the leads, there were no sufficient breaks in the case. But then a month later, a man called police after seeing a picture of Julie Buskin's car on the news. He claimed he may have seen her killer. He said on the morning of Julie's murder, he saw a car he thought was Julie's pull out in front of him. He said that they almost hit each other and it was near the lake. The car made him so mad that he started to follow it. A little bit of road rage, sir? He said he followed the car for about 5 miles up the road. He felt something was weird because the driver kept looking out of his rear view mirror at him. And he just thought it was so creepy and bizarre that he stopped following him and let it go. He wasn't sure he could describe the guy, but he wanted to help police. They brought in a sketch artist and slowly a profile emerged. But no one recognized him and the case went cold. 4 years after the murder, police received a letter from a female from a female inmate at the Oklahoma County Jail. She claimed a guy named Dennis Stemmer, 23, may have murdered Julie. He was an old acquaintance of hers. Police found Dennis Stemmer was a construction worker and had no criminal record. At the time of the murder, he lived only 4 blocks away from Julie's apartment and actually resembled the composite sketch. When police found him, he refused to answer questions and give any DNA samples. Police had to get a court order to collect his DNA. His DNA was very close to the DNA found on Julie's leotard and underwear. Unfortunately, being close is not a match, so investigators had to exclude him from the case. Because the DNA was so close and the composite resemblance, DNA chemists thought it could possibly be a relative to Dennis. They found that the only living relative was his brother, and the DNA did not match. And yet again, the case went cold. Investigators performed what they called a dragnet. They asked all the males from Julie's school and her neighborhood who had a criminal background to provide a DNA test voluntarily. Everyone who was asked complied. Over 200 were tested. None of them matched. 6 years after the murder, a man named Anthony Sanchez was arrested for raping his ex-girlfriend. Couldn't find anybody else, dude? Really? Had to go back to your ex? Sanchez gave his DNA for testing. Investigators found that at the time of the murder, Anthony Sanchez lived just 1 mile away from Julie's apartment. Police interviewed Sanchez's associates, his family, his friends, even his ex-girlfriends. Actually, one of his old girlfriends came forward and provided police with a diary entry from the month that Julie was murdered. The entry read that in October 1996, Anthony bought me a pair of new Nike shoes. He thought he was slick. And he bought the same style, but boys. And get this, Anthony wore a size 9 shoe. There was one other thing. The phone number dialed from Julie's phone that day was just a digit off from one of the girls Sanchez used to date. The girl's correct number shows up on Julie's cell phone after she died. Police believe Sanchez may have tried to call the girl from memory and got 1 digit wrong. Then Sanchez's girlfriend told police that he had a weird habit. She said that he and his father liked to fire .22 caliber pistols into the wall of their home. What? Because Julie was also murdered with a .22 caliber gun, police got a warrant. They used a portable x-ray machine to check the walls of the home where Sanchez lived. Nothing turned up, so they tore down the walls and still nothing. Because law enforcement made such a mess, the landlord had to actually come in and clean up the debris in the home. While vacuuming, he was emptying out the bag and a .22 caliber bullet fell out. A ballistics test revealed that the bullet was consistent with that of the bullet retrieved from Julie's autopsy. Sanchez's DNA was compared to the biological DNA sample from Julie's leotard. The results were a match. Thanks to forensic science, Anthony was arrested and charged with the murder of Julie Buskin. He was tried, convicted, and sentenced to death. What do you guys think about this case and my makeup look? Please let me know in the comments down below. Subscribe if you like videos like these, and I will see you guys next week with another Forensic Friday episode. Bye.